ANC staff are planning a protest outside Nasrec this evening. This as the staff has not been paid their salaries. The ANC is hosting a gala dinner ahead of its national policy conference. For more on this protest, we're now joined by our reporter Canny Maphanga in Nasrec. A very good afternoon to you, Canny, joining us from Nasrec there. Okay, let's talk about this planned protest for this evening. And I mean, one must say, here we are having this gala dinner, which I imagine will be some sort of a fancy dinner, but you have staff that hasn't been paid and hasn't been paid for months. Some of them have actually been protesting for quite some time. Talk to us about where we are now when it comes to these payments and what you're hearing from those who perhaps will be taking part in this protest this evening.
Well, good afternoon to you and the viewers at home. Indeed, we are live outside the gates of Nasrec, where a protest is planned by Luthuli House staff today as they haven't been paid their salaries. We understand that the corporate sector will be engaging with the ANC ahead of its policy conference, which will discuss, among other things, triple challenges such as poverty, inequality and lawlessness, to name a few. This policy conference comes at a time where the state of the nation has become a subject of critique across intellectuals, experts, analysis, etc. Now, when we look at some of these tickets that are being sold for this gala dinner that will take place behind me, I mean, we're talking about tickets, according to Ticket Pro, that range between 5,000, some close to 100,000. But a long-standing issue of non-payment of salaries still exists within the ANC. Just earlier this week at Luthuli House, that same staff did protest. So this is an issue that they are well aware of. And we understand that about 5 p.m. Several staff members will be here to picket in protest of not receiving their salaries. But to elaborate further on this, someone who's been at the forefront of these pickets, even was there on Monday at Luthuli House. I'm joined by Mr. Kwane to explain further about this long-standing issue of salaries at Luthuli House. As you've heard me discuss earlier, this is a gala dinner which is going to be fundraising to some extent for the ANC, and there will be an engagement with the corporate sector. And you've heard that large amounts are being paid to have seats at this dinner. But you as staff members at Luthuli House who are holding the party together in terms of the staff work that needs to be done ahead of this conference have not been paid. What are your feelings on this?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to you and the viewers. Maybe the first thing I want to say is that we are coming here this afternoon at 5 to picket, and the picket is intended to raise awareness, especially to those who will be coming in to dine and enjoy the wines and the food here, that as they enjoy in that venue, there are families that are going to sleep without food. And those families are families of members of staff who serve the ANC on a daily basis, who sacrifice their time, who sacrifice their energies, their skills, and everything that they know to make sure that the ANC functions, to make sure that the ANC succeeds in all programs, all activities, and all organizational activities that the ANC engages in on a daily basis. And unfortunately, we're supposed to be inside in that very same gala dinner and assist the work in that gala dinner, but unfortunately we can't. We have to protest, which is something we think we shouldn't be. We are crying about our salaries. We have not been paid our salaries for 2 months. Early this morning there was a commitment that at least 50% of the salaries were going to be paid, and we have not seen any payment. None of our staff members have confirmed to have received the salaries, which means we are where we were yesterday, even before the meeting of this morning. Unfortunately, as staff, we are left with no choice but to come and stand by the gates and picket instead of assisting as we usually do inside in the preparations of the policy conference and the gala dinner itself.
In these last 2 months, how have staff members been getting by? How have you been getting to work? How have you been feeding your families?
It has been a very difficult situation for all of us as staffers. We have to borrow money to go to work because our hearts are with the ANC. We want to go and work. But you can continue borrowing money to a certain extent. You can borrow further because you are getting deeper into debt, because already We are in debts for all the debit orders that bounce every month we miss on salaries. But we now have to go and borrow money just to go to work. Unfortunately, some of our members have to stay at home because they can't even get that very same little money to go to work. And that has been our situation. Unfortunately, our members continue to suffer. They are suffering because they are losing their investment. They are suffering. This afternoon at 2, we had a meeting with all staff members, and members were sharing how much they are affected by the situation. I'm talking about people having lost their houses. I'm talking about people who now have to pull their children again out of school. These are the circumstances we find ourselves under. And unfortunately, the leadership that we so believe in and the leadership that we elected as members of the ANC seems not to be bothered to resolve these matters with the necessary urgency they deserve. We have had so many talks, and talks are continuing, but nothing seems to come from the side of the employer. Unfortunately, that's where we are.
Was there any sort of relief earlier this week on Monday following that picket outside Luthuli House, or are you still waiting for answers regarding some form of a relief? Even though you can't get full salaries, at least do you have a concrete date where you'll be offered such relief?
There isn't any relief yet. Since our picket on Monday and our meeting this morning with the management and led by the coordinator in the office of the SGO, Comrade Gwen, commitments were made, further commitments were made, but unfortunately nothing seems to be coming forward in terms of those commitments that were made. And we're here to put pressure that those commitments must materialize, and for those commitments to materialize, it will take the leadership collectively to take a stand and say, this is an important matter, this is one of the priority matters in the ANC, and therefore it must receive the necessary attention that it deserves. As it stands now, we don't think it's treated as a priority that it is, for a reason that I do not know.
And lastly, just quickly before we wrap up, what keeps the staff at work, even though you haven't received any salaries, you don't have an incentive, but you still show up for duty? What keeps you guys going?
It's our hearts. It's our hearts, our love for the movement, our commitment to the ANC, a commitment that we took as individual members to commit to the ANC. That's what keeps us going to work. You see, I just came out of Nasrec now. Our comrades, some of our comrades are there working now, doing decorations, making arrangements for dinner and all those things that they are doing. They are doing that not because they are sellouts, because there's a view outside there that comrades who are working are sellouts. They're not sellouts. It is the commitment, it is their hearts that forces them to continue to work even though they are crying. And I must say, in the pickets that we have organized the pickets for members of staff who are affected by these circumstances. Not people. We do not invite anyone to come here and grandstand and come and play politics with our lives and our suffering. Only staff members are expected to be part of the picket, and anyone else who comes here to say their own things, they are not welcome. They don't represent us, and we are not calling for their support. It's only members of the ANC who feels that the ANC must deal with this matter as soon as possible, that can support us in various ways. Amongst other is in the policy conference itself. Delegates must discuss this matter to find a permanent solution, and that's what we are calling for. Even in the branches, in the provinces, in the regions, delegates of the ANC, members of the ANC must discuss this matter as a priority matter and one of the issues that must be resolved as part of the renewal of the movement.
Thank you so much. We'll chat a bit later when that protest begins at 5 p.m. Well, there you have it. That is one of the ANC staff members, Mr. Kwane, just explaining why they've chosen to come here outside the gates of this gala dinner to appeal to the corporate sector as well as the ANC that while they love their job, they still need their salaries. They are breadwinners. They need to feed their families, and they would like to continue to conduct their duty. However, they still want to get paid for their work. We'll continue to update you. Expect that the protest will start at about 5 p.m. just ahead of the gala dinner this evening. Over to you in studio.
All right. Many thanks to you, Canny. Let's catch up later on then. Of course, we are expecting that there will be a protest there in Nasrec as ANC staff who haven't been paid, as we heard from the gentleman now, 2 months, will be protesting outside where the ANC is hosting its gala dinner ahead of the National Policy Conference.